Hey guys, so today this video is brought to you by my complete disappointment for Mortal Kombat 11. Why does Mortal Kombat have such a big following when the game comes out, but then the competitive audience sort of starts to disappear very quickly after the game has launched? Well, we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to go over a few things that really just disappoints me about Mortal Kombat and sort of baffles me as to why NRS does the things that they do. Right, so do I think Mortal Kombat 11 is a bad game? No, I don't. I actually think this is a good game, and I'm not talking about the combat specifically. I'm just talking about as a whole. If you played story mode before, you know they put a lot of effort into that story mode, and it was good. It might not be as good as Mortal Kombat 9, but it's still pretty good. It was a lot of fun. It's got the best story mode of any fighting game out there. Definitely the most effort. You know, nothing really comes close to it in terms of telling a story. So, you know, for that, the story is great. Got no gripes with it whatsoever. NRS, they get applauded for that, and I hope they continue to do story modes like this. You know, hopefully they can improve on MK11's. The universe has been reset now, but the story mode isn't the problem here. Towers of Time, another great mode. You know, it didn't start too well. I think some of the requirements were a bit too ridiculous, but for the most part, I've had a decent time playing Towers of Time. It's not the best mode ever. It can get repetitive, it can get a little bit boring, but all in all, I'd say it's pretty good. Classic Towers is your classic arcade mode. Again, these are the things that don't upset me about the game. The crypt is fantastic. I really like the way they did the crypt in this game. Hopefully we can get an adventure game with the way the crypt has been done, because clearly they've got the framework there for it. So in terms of Mortal Kombat 11 being a bad game, it's not a bad video game. It has a lot of good content in it. There's even cool stuff to get in the store every day. You know, overall I think it's a good game. My problem comes in the competitive side of this game, and that's what we're going to move into now. And I'm going to break down each area of what I think is bad about this game. So the first thing that I want to talk about in this game is fireballs. Now, why does that look stupid? Why does that look dumb? Well, because he's throwing a fireball at me, and I am throwing a fireball back at him, and you would think that my fireball would clash with his. But that's not what happens in NRS games. In NRS games, fireballs pass through each other, so effectively you can't have a full screen game. Whoever has the better fireball is going to win there. It's it's just a bad design choice, and I really hate it when people say, oh, if you want that, go and play Street Fighter. It's not a Street Fighter thing. This is a basic thing across all fighting games. King of Fighters, even Tekken has it now. Even Tekken got it right. Please explain to me why fireballs pass through each other. It doesn't make any sense. It is one of the weirdest design choices I have ever seen. On top of that, some fireballs just don't even work properly. Some characters go right through fireballs. For example, Cabal goes right through the Running Man, Noob Saibot's Running Man Shadow Clone. See that shit? You see that nonsense? You got some fireballs that don't even work properly. It's really bad the way this game is designed. Like, can someone explain to me why that just doesn't work? And if he's not in the variation that has any of these fireballs, or the slower fireball, then Noob Saibot doesn't actually have a fireball to contest with anything. So even the variations don't really make sense. So one easy way that NRS could fix that is simply just make fireballs clash and make fireballs work how they should. I do not understand why some fireballs, and only Sub-Zero and Aaron Black's ones, will pass through other ones. I know a Sub-Zero, we'll get to him in a second. Now you see why Sub-Zero is such a problem? You throw a fireball and you'll trade with Sub-Zero. Now obviously the timing there is a bit off, but you get the point. Okay, and the problem with this one is that Sub-Zero gets a full combo from that. You just slide in and wreck your shit. And he has his overhead and he has his low, and I'm going to get into those in a second. So we've discussed fireballs and why they're so bad, and I haven't really even gone into detail with how bad they are, but you get the gist of it. The way they're designed is terrible, but we're going to move on to combo routes now. And this is something that affects some characters, and it affects them in different ways. I'm going to start with Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero can open you up with forward 2 or back 3, and both do a full combo. So he starts his combo like that, or he can do some nonsense like that, and if you're in Dead of Winter, then he actually gets a full combo from the overhead. Now this is a problem because Sub-Zero's grab allows him to go for Oki, and he can basically just run up and make you guess where he's going to do this, or he'll grab you again, and you know, grabs do a decent amount of damage. 2 grabs is 28% basically, and then you throw a crushing blow into his back throw and you've lost what, almost 70%. So when people say, oh, just take the throw, the throws in MK games really add up. Now what they should have done for Sub-Zero is they should have made his overhead the same as Scorpion's one. Scorpion has a low combo starter. Scorpion's overhead literally just does that. 7% damage, decent damage, complements his low starter, which you can get a full combo from. Doesn't really cause too much of an issue. Now his throw does give him Oki, but again, you're not guessing between 2 different combo starters. And what annoys me the most is people say, oh, Sub-Zero hasn't got good neutral. Sub-Zero's neutral is strong enough, and he has 2 ways to open you up. So essentially it becomes brain dead, right? It becomes a guessing game, and guessing games become frustrating because it's not skill based, it's a guess. You're guessing what your opponent's going to do next. Now people say that you can react to Sub-Zero's overhead, and I'm not saying you can't, but in a real game situation, when you're really fighting a good opponent and they've got a throw, a low and an overhead that are all relatively easy to set up, it becomes much harder than just simply reacting to an overhead. But Sub-Zero is not the only person that causes this problem. The Terminator does as well. The Terminator gets a full combo from forward 3. Right, so it does forward 3, can convert into a full combo, but the issues don't stop there. He can do forward 2 and get a full combo as well. It is deeply frustrating to be in the corner against these characters. They create so many issues, and there's games with mix-ups, there's games with characters that have high pressure, but when the game revolves around just this and this over and over and over again, not to mention his grab obviously adds a bit of mix-up to it as well, it's really horrible to play against. And I think that's why people get turned off of Mortal Kombat. It's not fun, it becomes frustrating. These characters are not designed to be, I mean, I don't even want to use the word fair because it just sounds pissy and whiny, but it's just silly. It's a very frustrating experience. And from a standing position, Mortal Kombat doesn't really have the defensive options to allow you to deal with this nonsense basically. It has flawless block, but flawless block is essentially parrying. We know how parrying goes in games with heavy mix-up. It's not a good enough defensive mechanic. Now Mortal Kombat has issues with its defensive mechanic because when you knock someone down, as long as it's not from a throw, they already have a billion ways to get up. But from standing, there's not really too much that they can do. They kind of just have to hold it. They have to hold that shit. And again, it creates a frustrating experience. It's why a lot of people put down the game. It's why I cannot be bothered to play it. You've seen on my channel recently, there's been a lot more Tekken. Because Tekken, I just feel like gives you tools from every vantage point to deal with stuff. Moving on to Garros, and I'm going to use Garros to represent a few other characters as well that have this issue. Forward 2-1-2 is a launcher, which is fine. It's fine to be a launcher. You can get a full combo from this. My issue is not with it being a launcher. My issue is that this launcher is safe. Now, how much damage does this launcher do, you ask? Anywhere from 30 to 40%, maybe more than that. I'm not a Garros player, I can't remember. Why is this launcher safe? Whose stupid idea was it to make it safe? His post-launcher game, so after he does this, he does down 1. Why is he allowed to do that? This is a launcher. A safe launcher that does almost half health damage. It makes absolutely no sense, okay? When you go for something high risk, or what should be high risk, it shouldn't be a case where you can now press buttons after that and be okay. It shouldn't be a case where I have to guess if you're going to do down 2 and crush and blow me because I went for a reversal throw. It shouldn't be that. It's absolute nonsense that launcher is safe. And talking about things that shouldn't be safe, or it shouldn't even be close to being safe, Garros' fatal blow and a couple other fatal blows like Frost's, Noob Saibot's, Cabal, there's a long list of them. A lot of fatal blows in this game are poorly designed. Fatal blow is an issue in itself because it recharges after 10 seconds. Okay, that's dumb. If you miss the fatal blow, you should lose it for at least that round. That round you shouldn't have it anymore, considering what they do to the actual neutral of the game and how they change the matchup. If you lose it, then you shouldn't be able to get it back, because what happens is if you whiff this, now the Sub-Zero player is going to want to get in there because he knows in 10 seconds it's going to go back to a blocking game and you're going to have to guess, and that's going to allow Garros to move in and start his nonsense. And you really don't want that against Garros. You do not want Garros getting in your face like that. But at the same time, you don't want Garros at full screen because he kind of just does what he wants, right? And I'm going to get into character archetypes in a bit. But fatal blows create a huge issue in this game. A huge issue. So the 10-second cooldown is terrible. That needs to go. It should only be once per round, right? If you miss it, you lose it that round. If you use it, that's it. It's done. Look at the range on this shit. Now you're probably thinking, oh, it's not a big deal. Now, I think Sub-Zero can actually punish this with his Ice Slide, but for a majority of the cast, they can't punish that. They can't punish it. They also can't punish other ones. Like, now from here, there's nothing you can do against Noob Saibot. You have to know that if he pushes that, you have to be blocking, and there's not jack shit you can do about it. Now maybe Scorpion can get a teleport punish, but what's Sub-Zero going to do from there? Alright, so he's blocking now because he's scared that Noob Saibot is going to do his fatal blow. So I push it, he gets pushed back. If I'm down here, there's nothing he can do. And then if I've missed that in 10 seconds time, it's going to recharge and create another situation where Sub-Zero has to tiptoe everywhere he goes. Not just Sub-Zero, any character. It's silly. Fatal blows should not be doing that. They should not be doing that. What I would do to fix this, for all the fatal blows that have full screen properties, either the cooldown on them is astronomically bad so he can actually get in to punish it. Because there's no reason why you should get a 31 to 35% super for free. For free. It's for free at that point. At full screen, there's nothing that Sub-Zero can do. He should be able to dash in after I've done it and combo me, okay, because I did something high risk for high reward, or it should at least be high risk, but it doesn't work like that in NRS games, and it's really irritating. And now I want to talk about character archetypes. Does NRS know what character archetypes are? I don't know how to do this. Oh, there you go. So it's back, forward, 1. So this character has got amazing zoning, right? She's also got that drone that she can position to hit you at full screen, which is fine. That would have been fine if she was a zoner, but Sonya can also get in your face and play the mix-up game. She has plus frames on certain things. She has a really good down 3. And it's just like, what is this character doing? So we know that at full screen, Scarlet is really good, but up close, she's got a lot of gaps in her strings. It's quite easy to flawless block her. She's got holes in her game, right? So Scarlet was a character that was designed to be played at full screen. That's a character archetype, right? She's a zoner. What is Sonya? What is Sonya? Because at full screen, last time I checked, she can fight Scarlet. Up close, she can kick Scarlet's ass. So exactly what is Sonya? Is she a mix-up character? Is she a zoner? Is she a counter zoner? What is she? This is the problem with NRS games. They just give certain characters everything. Everything. The character should be specialized in one thing, or be a jack of all trades and not be overwhelming in all of those departments. But Sonya can be overwhelming in everything. And Sonya's not the only cause of this. I just had Garros on the screen. Like, Garros is another one. If he's in your face, he can do 40 to 50% easily. He's got safe combo launchers. He's got safe, like, whatever. He's got his 1-1-1 is safe. He can do 1-1 sand trap, which is a mix-up that has a crushing blow on it. and it's just like, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, what game are we playing here? Because then when he goes full screen, his projectile is a low. His projectiles are low, so you have to walk around the screen doing this, trying to get to him. Now, if any of you seen a Foxy Grandpa's Garros, it is one of the most frustrating things I've never faced it, but it's one of the most frustrating things I've ever watched in my life. Honestly, I feel bad for the opponent, because Foxy's figured out that, you know, Garros, as he calls him, Ferris, is broken. Like, the character is fundamentally broken. And I don't mean Meta Knight broken. I don't mean like he's glitching off the screen or whatever. I just mean the way he's designed, he can do everything. Because what that sand trap does is when he lands it, he teleports towards you, right? Teleports towards you. And Garros also has throw loops. So he's teleported towards you. Now he can play the up close game. And once he's hit you for like 40-50%, what do you think he does? Foxy backs right off, because he knows now you need to work your way back in by doing this all match, or jumping and guessing where he's going to do the sand trap. Now, not to mention the fact that Garros can whiff 2 sand traps, and that makes him get a crushing blow. So instantly he can build that crushing blow. It's so simple for him. And it's just another one of those things where it's like, why do they put stupid shit in the game? Why is there so much dumb shit? And I was speaking to my friend, shoutouts to Helter Skelter. He said that that the game was intentionally designed like this, like NRS like doing this. And if that's the case, fair enough. If they like doing stupid shit, if they like their player base getting frustrated and turning the game off, then, you know, they have succeeded in astronomical ways. If a character's going to be really good up close, then they shouldn't be really good at full screen. They shouldn't be good at everything. It creates a frustrating playing environment. Like, seriously, it's honestly one of the most frustrating things to be playing against a Sonya player, and then she just backs up and starts shooting her rings. Because her rings have a crushing blow in them as well. And it's a very easy crushing blow to hit. And that's another thing. Crushing blow distribution in this game is horrific. It's horrific. The way they've separated between characters is terrible. Some characters cannot land their crushing blows. Okay, some characters have useless crushing blows. Case in point, Noob Saibot. So this is a crushing blow, and you get some beautiful damage from it with a restand. But do you want to guess how you land this crushing blow? Sub-Zero has to be stand blocking. Now please tell me who in their right mind is going to stand block against Noob Saibot. He doesn't have any overheads other than this. That can be flawless blocked, and it is very slow. Everyone can see it. So please tell me how I'm supposed to land this. How am I ever going to land that? It's not going to happen. And it's silly, because you have other characters that have such easy routes into their combo damage from crushing blows. It's terrible. I actually don't know what they were thinking. This should have been on counter hit, because that's what people actually use it for. They use it for when people are pressing buttons at full screen, or at least I do. And it works perfectly fine, but as a crushing blow requirement, them stand blocking it doesn't work. It's really stupid. And it seems like one of those things, it was one of those things that I saw on day one, and I was like, why did they do that? It's just like, I don't know what they're doing there, NRS. They clearly put a lot of effort into the cinematic side of things. The game looks gorgeous. It's probably one of the most beautiful looking fighting games. The blood effects are amazing, the fatalities are amazing, but the gameplay, the actual way characters interact with each other, is just, there's no semblance of thought at all. It's just weird. It's like they really wanted to go ham with some characters and then just forgot about other ones. Right, the next thing I want to talk about is throws and how badly implemented they are. And there's 3 things about throws that well, 2 or 3 things I want to talk about with regards to throws. Throws are really bad in this game because, one, they do 140 damage, right? That's a sizable amount. But some throws, not this one, but Garros, for example, again, I have to talk about this guy, or even Sub-Zero's forward throw, they create throw loop situations. So effectively, coupled with their mix-up, you're losing 28%, let's say, for a throw. But then the issue comes with other characters like Baraka and Noob Saibot, where they have a crushing blow on either side of their grabs. Now how much damage was that? About 62. That's terrible, NRS. Do you know why this is bad? On to point 3. So we covered the loops, we've covered the crushing blows. You cannot tell which way you're going to be thrown in an NRS game. In Tekken, you can tell which way you're going to go, and so you press the button based on that, or you press both buttons. Now before you say, oh, King. Yeah, King's one character. There might be throws here and there in Tekken that cause an issue and cause a guessing game. I'm not disputing that. In NRS, universally, you cannot tell which way you're going to be thrown. So you guess wrong, you get escape failed pop up on your screen. The next throw they do is going to be a crushing blow. So that means you're going to lose about 31-32% damage, however much they do. Some characters like that are like Baraka, who already have insane combo damage of not much work. Look, almost 40%. I'd even do the optimal combo. Then they also have crushing blows on their throw. Your health bar disappears against Baraka, so you have to guess where you're going to be thrown. That is so incredibly done. In Street Fighter, it's a one button tech. It could have been so easily fixed by doing that in NRS, because you can't tell which way they're going to throw you in Street Fighter, but all you do is you press throw back, right, and that techs the throw. But in NRS, you have to press 1 or 3 or 2 or 4 to guess if it's a back or forward throw. And throws in Street Fighter do very little damage. What is it, like 5 to 7%, I think? I can't remember. It might be a little bit more. It's probably not. I'd say max 10%. I can't remember. I haven't played Street Fighter 5 in a while. Or Street Fighter 4. But universally, from what I can remember, Street Fighter games have very low throw damage. And just fighting games in general seem to have low throw damage. But NRS has very high ones. You can't tell which way you're going to go. And on top of that, they have crushing blows and throw loops. Please explain to me why it's not a one button tech if you can't tell which hand is throwing you. It's so dumb. It's just another thing where it's like, you come down, you're down to the wire, someone dashes in, they do a throw, you press the tech button, you lose because you didn't press the correct direction. It's like, okay, why weren't you looking at the arm? Well, that doesn't matter, because you can't tell in NRS games. You can't tell which way you're going to be thrown. It's just like, what? Why? These are basic things that they can change in NRS games. And it's just like, come on, man, really? Are you that dense? It pains me to say that, because there's a part of me that loves this game, or at least wants to love it, and I understand that this is a massive step up from Mortal Kombat 10, because Mortal Kombat 10 was essentially an anime game with no defensive mechanics. Like, you were just getting your shit rushed down. Like, you were just holding L's across the board, and everything in NRS games does chip damage, which is something I'm gonna talk about in a minute. But just because this was a massive step up from MKX, I really don't get why people are saying, oh, you don't understand how good we have it. No, you got that mixed up, son. People that say that, I'm sorry, you're stupid. Yes, this is better than MKX. Does that mean it's good? No, it doesn't. Just because they made improvements doesn't mean you need to bow your head to them. There are so many things that need to be improved in this game. Now, whilst we're on Baraka, before we go on to chip damage, someone explain to me what the hell's going on with jump kicks. Jump kicks are so bad in this game. They're so bad. I don't understand why they're so active and why they're so hard to anti-air. And you know what my biggest problem with jump kicks is? That someone jump kicks you, it's not just a simple jump kick. You're losing a shit ton of health. Look at that. Now, I could have done more damage than that. But because the jump kicks are so powerful, it makes it so easy to open up combo routes. Now, I don't know how they fix this. I don't know if they just nerf jump kicks completely, because then do anti-airs become too powerful? Like, I feel like they've created a vortex of problems. But another thing I wanted to talk about was chip damage. Everything in NRS games does chip damage, and I find that really, really weird. Special moves and super moves doing chip damage, I get that. But just normal attacks as well? Really? Why? Why? Another weird choice. And then on top of that, the chip damage that some moves do is really weird. My guy, look at that on chip. That's, I don't know if I'm just being nitpicky here, but that seems like a lot of chip damage to me. And the thing is that because everything in NRS games does chip damage, and this is such a buttonsy game, people are constantly hitting buttons, you know. Down one, down one, down one. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about down ones. They're so stupid. I actually don't even want to talk about them. I don't know what's wrong with NRS, but anyway. You get down to barely any health. Now, they did add in last breath and whatever you get. You can use both your defensive meters to basically stop you from being chipped out. But that doesn't really matter when you've got, what, 3 hits left? So the next 2 will take away your defensive meter. But Baraka can just do this. And you got no hope. No, there's nothing you can do about that. He's here. He does that. That's it. Now, I am a firm believer, and I stand by Street Fighter 5 in doing that chip damage does not kill. Only super moves can kill. I think that was a great... There's not a lot of things that I will praise about Street Fighter 5. That's one of the things that I'll praise for it. The way they handled chip damage in that game is a hell of a lot better than the way Mortal Kombat handles it. And Mortal Kombat 11 did improve from MKX because the chip damage in that game was horrible. But oh my god, the chip damage in Mortal Kombat still, it's crap. It's crap. It needs to be fixed. And the last thing I want to talk about in this game is flawless block. And specifically I wanted to use Kabal for this because Kabal is a character that has no gaps in his strings. No gaps in his strings, and his strings are safe. His strings are safe, right? A lot of them leave him in a situation where he can stagger, he can do down 1 to interrupt you. It's just like, okay, you created a mechanic called flawless block so people can basically parry gaps in people's strings so there's not just free pressure. Cool. Don't particularly like it to begin with, but cool. You tried to add in something there to stop nonsense. Don't know why he'd put the nonsense in the first place, but whatever, that's another argument. Then they have Kabal, who has no gaps in his strings and they're all safe. What? No gaps in his strings. You cannot flawless block Kabal between his strings, right? You can do it to Noob Saibot, you can do it to Scorpion, you can do it to whoever. There's a couple characters in there. Quite a few actually. If not all, everyone has like a string that you can flawless block. Kabal has none. Okay, fair enough. You want to make this the character that you can't flawless block in between. Cool. Then why is all of his strings safe? Why are they all staggerable? Like, it's like, what the hell? What were you thinking? Like, seriously. This is why. And in my closing statement, this is why I believe that NRS games lose a lot of viewers. They lose a lot of their hardcore audience. And this is basically it becomes a party game almost. This is a game for casual players. Because it can't be taken seriously. This is a frustrating experience. Now, I'm not saying that Mortal Kombat shouldn't be hard to play. But it's not hard to play. Anyone can pick up this game and do a madness. Sub-Zero and Terminator are literally characters you can pick up and just go high-low constantly and get massive damage for it. This isn't like Tekken where it's got a steep learning curve. MK11 doesn't have a steep learning curve. It gives you a bunch of nonsense options and it's like, here, go nuts. Like, don't engage in thought processes. Don't do none of that. Go nuts. Because reasons, right? No. This game, to me, this game is no longer fun. And that's probably why you've not seen it on my channel as much anymore. Now, there are still tournaments in London. There's a lot of tournaments, and because I know how to play the game, I'll probably enter them because I've stacked up quite a nice bit of money playing the game. But overall, it's very disappointing to see like how the game has turned out. I mean, it kind of plays the same as it did on day one, but I've kind of just reached the end of my road. My patience with the game is kind of gone. Yeah, it's just an annoying, frustrating game. I think it allows people to feel like they're really good at like fighting games in general, but Mortal Kombat is its own beast. You can take things from Street Fighter and transfer them to Tekken and vice versa. Maybe not Street Fighter 5, but definitely Street Fighter 4 and Tekken, you could transfer things. Virtual Fighter, Thinking Man's fighting game. But Mortal Kombat is definitely its own beast, and that is for the worse. It just that things don't make sense within the realms of its own universe. And it's a shame. And I truly think that's why Mortal Kombat loses a lot of its player base. Because things just don't make sense. They just don't make sense. It's crazy because they've made such improvements from MK10. They've made big improvements. So it's crazy to believe that this game is still nonsense. You know, go back and look at MKX and you're like, holy shit, this game was bad. Like, bad. And I don't mean bad as in, yeah, the game looks beautiful, like I said. It's got an awesome story mode. The netcode is fantastic. If you can get rid of the Wi-Fi players, that would be great. Everything else about this game is good. In terms of content, nothing really touches Mortal Kombat. You know, nothing comes close to it. Mortal Kombat has the content, but gameplay wise, it's a massive disappointment. And you know, they don't, NRS doesn't really listen to anyone. They do what they're gonna do. But I suppose, you know, there is not really much else that I can say about the game. It's just a frustrating experience with a lot of shit that doesn't make sense. So if you agreed with anything that I said, remember to hit the like, subscribe to the channel. There will still be Mortal Kombat content popping up on here and there, not as much anymore because I'm just kind of sick of it. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is coming out soon. I've got a whole bunch of Tekken content that I'm uploading. So yeah, guess I'll catch you guys next time.